there's a thing for artisan in residence.
I thought it did say, yeah, it did say artisan.
Okay, I'm happy.
Yeah, easy fast.
Oh no, mine seems like it's flying, hurrying up.
Oh, yeah. His son is totally different than mine. Benny.
You ready?
I'm not woken him up.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today is Monday, December 16th, 2024, and we are at the Arvin Center in LaGrange, Buckner. I always get it confused. Buckner. For our regular scheduled board meeting, it is a little earlier because of the holiday. Thank you all for being here. You can hear people practicing out in the hallway because we have a special thing going on tonight, which is pretty exciting. So, sir, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I have one. We have one amendment to the agenda from the original agenda that we published on Friday, and that is just we expected the auditor to be here to present the audit, and so they requested more time, and so we will plan to revisit that with the board in January. So that's the only amendment, and it's been made. That change has been noted in your agenda that you have in front of you.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mrs. Sheffer, seconded by Mr. Dodson. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. We have the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. So, Ms. Dan, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, sir.
Yes, our instructional session, and that will be Mr. McWilliams, and so they are the Art Center's here, and so we have a couple of two different things. Mr. McWilliams is going to present about the Art Center, and then that will then follow up with a showcase of what's happening at the Art Center in Kaplan.
Welcome, Mac.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Radford, members of the board. Pleasure to be here. Since we're doing kind of a dual feature tonight, I wanted to try to keep a little brief on the instructional side because we have a really pretty big show for you. So I'll try to do that. But you know me, I can kind of go and go. But but really happy to be here. I just want to start off by thanking the school district board, Dr. Radford, for all your support. This is now my 17th year here. In a previous life, nonprofit, we had to scratch and scrape for every dime to put something on. And in the nonprofit world, we really recognize the board's contribution is essentially an endowment. It's an amount that we can count on every year. It supports the facility. It supports our administrative staff. It truly has created the foundation for excellence in the arts in the school district through what we present. In a former life, you just wouldn't be able to do the types of projects that we're able to do here and have the successes we are because you're just worrying about when the next dollar's coming in. So the foundation you create, we're really truly thankful for and couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. And within the last 3 to 5 years, we've been able to really fine tune our mission as we grow, as we evolve as an institution. Our mission is, what we look forward to on a daily basis, what we're really trying to do to inspire every student. And we have our innovative programs. And at this point, they are for all ages of students that want to pursue the visual and performing arts as a profession. That's what we offer. From the very youngest age to our adults, they are all getting the type of instruction that can potentially lead to a professional career. And that's very important for us. It really has become a focus of our mission. And dually, this type of rigorous arts curriculum and arts training for definitely a whole educational period through school really creates excellence in the classroom. So there are so many links to what you do in the arts at a very rigorous level and how that translates into the classroom and accomplishments in life. So many of our students at this point that are seniors go into the field and expect to be a professional artist, but we have many that don't, but they go on to so many other successes and they are accomplishing their goals. So we're really proud of that. It's really for all of our students, what we present. Vision's a little bit more long-term, so we've gotten to the point now too where we're carrying on a vision and 3 to 5 year projections about who we're serving, and not only our district students, not only our Oldham Countyans, but really Greater Kentuckiana as a region to immerse in the arts. And we truly are, if you're not aware, we are the biggest regional arts institution that's out there that does educational outreach and does this type of training. Only thing anywhere like it is in Cincinnati at their pre-college division. They do a lot of music and dance, but they don't have the visual arts at the pre-professional level and many other programs. So I mean, we're the biggest, and we're getting a lot of recognition for that. So engaging the whole region as a vision, and then also what has become really, really important for us is the scholarships, because we have become also all about access for these as individuals. As we have more and more people attracted, more and more school students, we need to provide for all. And our scholarship system is really, really integral to that part of the vision. So, and that's not only our merit, our need-based scholarships. So majority of our scholarships are for need-based, really in need families, but also our merit-based scholarships have become so important based on talent and success and where our students are in our training, because that's the most expensive part of what we do in the arts, since we're tuition-based. Our theater students, dancers, our string orchestra members are there multiple days a week. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars a year that they spend. So these merit-based gifts are really important for them in order for them to also reach their full potential as artists. And then I really like to go over the numbers too, because that's one of the big indicators of our success is almost an arts business. Our annual student enrollment, this is last year's numbers, over 3,000 students were enrolled in our classes, over 1,000 in summer camps. We had 5,600 individual students give performances or art shows at the Art Center, which is phenomenal. Over 16,000 community members came to see a show, participate in one of our events. And then 937 current fall quarter students are enrolled right now. That's up from 932 last year. And our teachers, we were a little worried about that number. We had to make a lot of adjustments because of Buckner High School coming into our facility. So we lost a little bit of our space, but that didn't come to fruition. I mean, we're just on such an upward trajectory that it didn't hurt our enrollment at all. We didn't lose any students because of the transition. We had to do some creative scheduling and room assignments, but that's been a really great fit. And I want you to know that too, that having Buckner there has been absolutely fantastic. And Beth has done a great job. The students are excellent. I really applaud our administration for, also having the vision to, I know it was hard for them, but to move on an elementary schedule so that we didn't lose any of our individual time with our students. So it's really working very, very well. Financial performance too. I can tell you, since COVID, we are now up to almost $1 million on our annual budget. So again, you're supporting our facility administration, but all we're doing in the arts, aside from Kappa, and I'll talk a little bit about that, is all self-supported. So nearly $1 million, which is excellent. The breakdown too is really interesting. About 80% is from the tuition. So that's a majority of our income. Ticket sales is pretty high too, at 12, over 120,000 in ticket sales. And then fundraising is really excellent. I mean, it looks like a small percentage compared to that big number, but $57,000 a year in fundraising. I mean, if you try to think of like not having $57,000 to put on your programs, you really, really couldn't do it. But again, the board support coupled with the fact that we are easily counting on that type of tuition. I mean, we're so attractive for people to want to invest in what we're doing. We're just on really, really solid ground because of that financially. Scholarship program, again, such a hallmark of what we do. $823,000 to date in scholarships awarded to our students. Last year was a record. We had $75,000 in awards the year before, over $80,000 in student scholarships to take place in our programs. And again, these are students that otherwise wouldn't participate in the arts, and they are also now our students that are in such extensive training that they need that type of support because of how expensive it is. Again, our community arts programs, those are our pre-professional programs aside from Kappa. Those really are all day long. We have some that go on during Kappa, but primarily in the evenings, on weekends. Again, sequential tracks for all of our students from the youngest age. And these students are working at a young age, and even adults, with all of our pre-professional trainers. So if you're a beginner, you are still working with the top talent in the area from a teaching perspective, which is really what's driving so many of our students into the profession, because they're getting that quality training at such an infant age, really. Pre-professional experiences in theater, dance, string, ceramics. You know, we've got students that are succeeding in all the areas professionally, but those are still some of our hallmarks. Theater, dance, string, ceramics. That also is kind of mirrors what we do in Kappa. As a reminder, that was really born out of the Art Center's mission of also not being in competition with our schools. So we really have these marquee areas that we focus on and have this pre-professional development in those areas because they didn't exist in the school district. So that's been really, really important for us and important for our students that have gotten involved and had real passions for those areas. And then expanding our faculty is something we're always doing. The training becomes more and more diverse over the years, so our teachers become even more specialized in what they do, and multiple teachers. You know, like our dance program, for example, has 8 staff members. So a dance student that comes through our program will have 8 different dance teachers during a week, one that literally specializes in tap, jazz, a single teachers for all those. That's how Kappa works as well. It's not quite as extensive because of the day and the budget, but within Kappa, for example, we have 4 musical theater teachers that all of our students see on a weekly basis, as opposed to, obviously, in our schools, you know, a single band instructor or choir director. Same thing with strings, same thing with our technical support. So very specialized training. Youth theater program, I'll go through it real quick. You're going to see a lot of our youth theater students, but this was a great year because of our finances. I was able to hire a full-time theater director, Rachel Strader. They're all out there, but she's phenomenal. I'll introduce her. She's been a long-time theater director of shows. She also works for Kappa, but she's now our theater director, and she has a lot of skills in the administrative side of things, so we're happy to have her doing that. One thing to note this spring is really exciting is our spring musical, Into the Woods, is going to be the first time that we have a live orchestra. And that's because of our Kappa string students, it's because of our community members. So this is a new engagement for us. We're involving the whole community. So we will have a full orchestra now that's involved, and we want to do this now in the future. If you've been to our shows, it's recorded tracks. So this is a big step forward for us and offers even more opportunities for our community members and students. And we're regionally casting. You know, we're real known, obviously, in the region. Students are coming in, not only for our theater and dance, but also our strings from all of our counties, Indiana, YPAS. We have a number of YPAS. So they're not getting all they need out of YPAS during a school day, and they come to us in the afternoons to get their full training in dance and theater. So that's really excellent. And you know, I can point out too that you know, to have this regional aspect, the things that are so wonderful about it is not only does it help financially to have, you know, an arts institution like this open to anyone. I mean, that really helps with our budget to have it open. But, you know, our pre-professional students in Oldham County all say we want to have all of these students with us because we're training at the highest level because of what that peer group looks like. So there's no boundaries with, you know, what they're able to gain from their peers. And I mean, the pre-professional training is a paramount, but being able to be with student groups that have the same passion and essentially the same skill sets where they can push each other and in many cases compete with each other is really important. Move on. Dance, I talked a little bit about dance. Trina will talk a little bit more about it too.
Mac,
Yeah.
mention the Valentine Showcase.
I will, and I will send you out notices. So Valentine Showcase, we did that last year. That is particularly to support our community theater, which are our adult productions that we have in the summers. That does take a lot of support. You know, that's not tuition based, so like we don't rely on that. We only rely on ticket sales. So last year we had a really successful fundraiser. We're going to be doing another one. It's going to be the weekend before Valentine's Day, and I'll make sure you all have noticed that. So it's a really big event and a great fundraiser to help it. So thanks for mentioning that. Our strings programs have grown steadily too. You know, we're ages 3 through adult with our strings. We have 5 different satellite locations at our elementary schools. At the Art Center, we have those programs. Also a dedicated Suzuki program, junior orchestra. All these are ultimately feeding the Kappa program. So now we have a really large Kappa orchestra. Our campus orchestras are still intact. I mean, that's one of the great aspects for getting you know, the 6th through 8th grader involved that you know, essentially maybe didn't want to do band or choir and really just found out about it. You know, they develop a passion a little later in their schooling than, you know, some of our 1st and 2nd graders that have already been playing for a while. But the great thing about the campus orchestras is that the students from the Art Center that already have experience, they also join these campus orchestras. Our Kappa students that are 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders, they even go to their campus orchestras so that they can be peer leaders, so that the quality of the orchestra is really great off the bat. And that way the beginner students aren't learning again just from the director, but they're learning even more really from playing along with excellent players and hearing how that sounds. So that's been really successful and has been great with feeding the Kappa program. Our leadership and performance for strings, that's really our pinnacle for our string players. A number of Kappa students are involved in that too, but that draws from all over the region. Just really unprecedented numbers of performances and competitions those students do. One of the really great aspects of that, I'll just mention really quickly, is our concerto workshops. These are solos that students play with a full orchestra, and that's a big endeavor. It's expensive, it takes a lot of coordination, but to have them perform their music in the way it was supposed to be done with a full orchestra is just really important instead of maybe just playing with a piano accompaniment. It's just a whole other element and dimension that's important for their growth. Ceramic studio is so important. I'm sorry, I want to do it on time. I want to keep, you know, get going with this, but Ceramic Studio has been really successful too, with 85 students, 400 in our seasonal workshops that then are recruits for other programs. A great thing about our Ceramic Studio too is our students, both high school and younger, as well as adult students, are having professional gigs. So their work is being sold now at Prospect City Hall, Mercantile on Main, Gallery 104, and so many of our high school students now through our art programs are GSA participants. So it's been really successful, particularly our Ceramic Studio. Kappa, up to 104 students. 10 teachers, administrative support as well. That's been a real great bang for the buck since I'm helping to lead that, and then our administrative staff leads that, so there's no extra dollars there. Really thankful to have Matt Jacobson too. He's a great mentor. He's really overseeing Kappa, and he's just been fantastic to work with, and wonderful of our teachers, and wonderful for my growth as well. So I really thank him. But the programs are doing fantastic. One of the great things that's happened over the last 4 years is the Kappa students, most all of them are now involved with our pre-professional programs after school. They're staying after school, they want to be more involved. You know, Kappa really gets them into the profession for sure, but I think we realize that they need that 4 to 5 hours of training every day, so they're taking advantage of that, and we're really proud that they are. Enhancing Art Center Foundation. So we're looking at the long term. We're looking at our fundraising capacity. We just started last year an Art Center Foundation. It's a 501c3, and that's really been a huge success in helping us raise funds and identify new monies. This year's focus has been on our scholarship system because that really is a big expense for us, and it really offsets our balance when we can really pay for those scholarships that we're offering our students. We just had a gala in October. We're looking to do, it was really successful, raised about $9,000, which is great for a first time, and we're looking to have that be an annual event, and it's also put us in the spotlight with many potential donors. We've already secured a number of sponsorships this year and do fundraising events. The Valentine's fundraiser is actually going to be run through our Art Center Foundation. And just in the last 8 months, the first 8 months of the organization's founding, almost $28,000 raised. And the big point on that is that's all new money. So the $56,000 that the Art Center is raising, we are still keeping up with that. Those are grants and donors that donate directly to us. That is all new money, so it's fantastic. We have the long-term goal of within 2 years, possibly 3, of reaching $100,000 every year in raised funds as well. So that's it in closing. A real mission and vision of enhancing the whole region. That in turn is really, really enhancing our Oldham County students and community to have that type of community of artists. Engagement, it's all up there. You've got it, and it's in your packet too. So we definitely want to get on to our showcase. Very excited to do that. This is going to be a sampling of performances that we've had throughout the fall period. The students, one thing I did want to mention, we're going to go ahead right before orchestra, we're going to have, I mentioned our student successes, but we're going to have our seniors get up and each say what their plans are for next year. That's really one of the ways that we are able to show what our success is as an arts institution, is what they do to further their art and what they're going to do in the future. So we'll be proud to have our seniors say a few words too. So do you think they're ready? Oh, they're ready. So I'm going to turn it over to our dance director, Trina Jackson, who's going to announce our first pieces. Thank you, Trina.
Are we moving?
Hey, give us time to move.
Did we go down?
Oh, yeah. Whoop, yep, exactly. Board members, Dr. Radford, we would love to invite you to the front. We have some reserved seats. Our district administrators, you can certainly come to the front too. You still have a good seat from back there.
Struggling.
We'll let everybody move to some seats. These are the more expensive seats up here, just like the Broadway theater. Well, good evening, afternoon, wherever we're at this point with the weather outside. It's hard to tell what time of day it is. But I'm Trina Jackson, and I'm the artistic director at the Oldham County Schools Art Center. And I've been there since 2007. And the group that's going to perform first is called the Oldham County Performance Troupe. And in 2007, we were asked to do a show at one of the malls in, I can't remember if it was St. Matthews or Oxford, but anyway, we did one little Christmas show. We did some silly little numbers and started meeting once a week to develop this group. And so now we have between ages 9 to 18, and we used to meet once a week, and now we have classes Monday through Friday. And most of the students, especially the advanced students, get 3 days of ballet, and then they get tap, jazz, and we bring people in from New York City, and then we take groups that are old enough to go to New York. We take those in the summertime so that they can study among other professionals. And the purpose of the group is a
guys with two left feet come out alright if the girl is sweet. If by chance their cheeks should meet while dancing, proving that the best things happen while you dance.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Cremona, and I am a senior at South Oklahoma High School, and I plan on going to college for music theater, and I'm auditioning for Marymount Manhattan and Ithaca College.
Hello, my name is Will Warner. I go to North Oak High School, and I will be attending Wake Forest University in the fall.
Hi, my name is Maddie Rediger. I'm a senior at Owen County High School, and along with auditioning to a bunch of colleges, I have been to place at 4 BFA programs, so I will be getting my BFA visa
gotta get that art center built, we gotta take care of the kids before we're doing them a service. And I appreciate anything y'all want to do to help them with this art center. And don't forget, we will promote the Valentine's Spectacular. That goes towards the Art Foundation. The gala we're gonna have, we're gonna have other things during the summer to raise money for these kids, so, just remember. Thank you.
This is quick, but this is just a smidge of the whole group. Like the kids in the blue, there's about 48 kids I think we have, right around 40 something, or under 50, but so there's a bunch of them. And then this isn't even all of the Kappa students. So I mean, we see, I feel like I could be exaggerating, but there are thousands of kids who walk through the building each week. So we do appreciate your support, but I want you to know, like, this is just a smidge of who we are and who we have here. So that's all.
Thank you. Thanks.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, so we'll start back at 5:50. into recognitions at this point in time.
All right, I have a few recognitions for this evening. First, we have our Ignite Passion Award. The Ignite Passion Award recognizes individuals or groups that have demonstrated exceptional commitment and efforts in fostering passion and enthusiasm with Oldham County Schools. As noted last month, recipients of the Ignite Passion Award are not merely achievers, they are catalysts for positive change, transforming the atmosphere and culture within their school or within the school district. These individuals or groups possess a unique ability to ignite the flames of inspiration within students, staff, families, or the community, encouraging others to pursue excellence and embrace their own passions. So we have three people we'd like to recognize tonight. First is from Buckner Elementary. Buckner Elementary's Ignite Passion Award winner is Erin Marvin. Erin is truly a remarkable educator and a leader who goes above and beyond in every possible way. She is always the first to step in and support her colleagues, especially when staffing is tight, ensuring that everyone feels supported and valued. Erin is a champion for student engagement, creating numerous clubs and activities that give students meaningful ways to connect and grow. She is particularly dedicated to bridging connections for students with communication disabilities, constantly seeking ways to enhance inclusion and understanding. This year, she introduced a school-wide AAC, Argumentative and Alternative Communication Awareness Initiative, allowing all students to learn about and appreciate the unique ways some of their peers communicate. Erin epitomizes the very essence of this award, embodying dedication, compassion, and relentless commitment to her students and colleagues. Please help me give her a big round of applause. Next is East Oldham Middle School. East Oldham Middle School's Ignite Passion Award winner is Brandon Aitchen, whose music doesn't just fill the room, it sparks a fire within his students. As the band director at East Oldham Middle School, he goes far beyond simply teaching musical techniques, inspiring young musicians to discover their potential and develop a lifelong love of music. His commitment is evident in the way he transforms music from a mere academic subject into a collaborative experience for his students. Brandon creates an inclusive, encouraging environment where students of all skill levels feel supported and motivated to grow. He also instills important life skills such as teamwork, discipline, creativity, and self-confidence through the musical process. His passion is infectious, motivating students to challenge themselves, embrace learning, take risks, and develop a genuine appreciation for their craft. Please help me give him a big round of applause. Okay, our last Ignite Passion Award winner is North Oldham High School, from North Oldham High School. North Oldham High School's Ignite Passion Award winner is Robert Norton. Robert is an exceptionally talented educator and colleague who pours his heart and soul into everything he takes on, and he takes on a lot. As the lead teacher in the science department, Robert consistently collaborates with his PLC members to ensure that all students experiencing a guaranteed and viable curriculum. True to his scientific nature, he utilizes data to identify areas of strength and growth for his department and the school at large. Aside from being a remarkable leader in the building, Robert's classroom provides our students with the vibrant learning experiences that ignite their passion for science. He is a master at bringing physics to life for all students and provides hands-on instruction and activities that truly engage all students. Each student who has the opportunity to experience Robert's classroom leaves as a better learner and a more curious observer of the world around them. What makes Robert so unique is not just his abilities as a master teacher, but also his traits as a leader and a team player. He is a trusted and valued member of the North community and constantly looking for innovative ways to grow North Oldham High School to new heights. Above all, Robert is a phenomenal role model for our students and an integral part of the Mustang family. Please help me give him a big round of applause.
It's right here.
Okay, I have one more recognition, one more person to recognize, and that is for, I'll turn this around, kind of, and that is for Mr. Larry Dodson. Larry, as you are departing, stepping off of the board, I want to say I have a gift here for you. Would you come up, make your way on down, if you don't mind, please, sir? I'm going to make you exercise those knees. As you're making your way down, I just want to say what a thank you for your service to our Board of Education, to our school district, to our students, to our community, and can't thank you enough from me to you. And a little token of our appreciation, say thank you. Thank you. All right. Just a quick picture. Hold on. Let me let Ms. Hunley, she has one more thing she wants to recognize. I want to step over to the side.
I'm a sympathy crier. I'm going to try not to cry. Larry, no one loves this district and kids more than you do, and I will miss you terribly. I've served on the board with you for almost 5 years now, and I could not personally think of anything better to give you than a lifetime free pass to the Oldham County Art Center for you and a guest. So you will forever be able to go to anything you want to see at this art center currently and the new one that will be built. If not named after you, we will certainly try to get something there named after you for sure. Thank you, Larry, so much.
You want to solve it?
While everyone's taking their seats, I'll just make a quick note to Mr. Dodson. There will be a badge or a specific badge of some pass that will also that you could use in addition to that certificate. So you don't have to carry the certificate around. It's just a way to, that will be coming here pretty soon. So.
Okay. All right, next up, sir.
Yes, next is the Treasurer's Report. And I'd like to invite Ms. Carrie Alexander to come forward and share that update to the board. And Ms. Alexander, you'll need to, or Lori's got it. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. All right, this treasurer's report is for November. And as I've been mentioning the past few months that the first quarter is the lowest cash flow of the year, I'm now pleased to report that we have reached a turning point where our cash flow starts to reverse and go back up. November is generally the month that we have the most significant receipts, and that is reflected in your reports. So if you start looking at report number 1 of your treasurer's report, that gives you a summary of your receipts and disbursements. You can see on our total receipts on our governmental funds of just over $64 million for the month. 58.6 million of that were actually tax receipts that we received from personal and real property and also from utilities and motor vehicles. You can see our disbursements are right on track, and we ended the governmental funds with just under 77 million. And when you add the school activity, food service funds, daycare funds, we're at a little over 86 million. Following that, on that same report, you have the remaining amounts of our bonded construction fund, which is right under 5 million, and our investment account balance is a little over 16 million. Behind that, in report number 2, you have a further breakdown of all the governmental funds. And then if we go on to report number 3, that's the historical analysis report that compares previous years to the current year for both revenues and expenses. You can see we're tracking quite well the way we'd like to see it. We are ahead in revenues and behind in expenditures. This report does show a total of 80.4 million for general fund revenue, but at the time that this report was printed, we had not transferred the 19.7 million over to the building fund when we received the tax money. So that will reflect in your next report for next month. So when you take that away and you reduce that total, it puts it at 60.7 million for the general fund revenue, which tracks closer to the historical comparison, as you see. As I mentioned, the tax receipts are shown there and broken down by category as well. And then our capital outlay funds, we've already received the 50%, and we will get the other half in the spring. The state equalization on the nickels is the same way. We've received half in July, and we'll receive the other half in the spring. And then behind the board report number 3, you have our general fund revenue trend and our traditional income statement and balance sheet for your information and review. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Board members, any questions, comments? Your recommendation, sir?
Recommend to approve.
Can I get a recommendation to approve made by Mrs. Clem, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer? All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
Thank you.
There are 2 sets of minutes to approve. The first is from the November 18th, 2024 board meeting minutes. Board members, any changes to those? Can I get a recommendation to approve? Made by Mrs. Sheffer, seconded by Mr. Dennis. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. The next are from December 2nd, 2024, special called work session. Any changes to those minutes? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
Next, we have personnel actions, and so that personnel report is in your board packet and for the board to take under advisement as it's presented.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Yes, consent items. Consent items are as presented in your packet, and my recommendation is to approve.
Board members, any questions about those? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mrs. Clem, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer. All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
Okay, superintendent reports are next, Madam Chair, and I'd like to invite Dr. Smith to come forward. He has actually the first 2 superintendent reports. One is the CDIP report, and then the Cognia update.
Good evening. While it is fun to watch violins and students dancing, talking about the CDIP is about to be the highlight of your evening. Each year we come together as a district leadership team. We look at all the components of our district improvement plan. We track our data, and then we set some goals for the coming year. A lot of the work that we do on a CDIP is over an arc of multiple years, and you'll see that in our presentation tonight. The CDIP that we file with KDE goes over 7 specific areas. You can see those listed up here. And we're using Kentucky summative assessment data to measure growth over time. So looking first at our reading and math proficiency, I did a presentation back in October looking at all of our performance numbers. We saw those changes. We looked at cohorts of students. To support students' growth over the coming year into the summer into next year, we have focused really, really carefully on our PLC processes. We realize that as teachers join our school district, we need to bring them all up to speed on our expectations around how we work in teams and how we take action on student data and the tasks that kids do in our PLC meetings. So we brought in Solution Tree over the summer, and we did a PLC reboot this last year. We'll continue that work this year, and that'll go into this coming summer and into our second Ignite conference, which will be coming in August, actually July, August of the coming summer. For goal number 2, we look at science, social studies, and writing. We have made some good progress in these areas. We, again, are using our PLC process, but in those 3 subject areas, we're trying to focus really carefully on formative assessments. So how do we measure what students are able to do and make adjustments based on the data we're seeing in our classes? This last year, we saw really strong growth in writing, and that's something we want to build on. And so you'll be hearing more as we get into the spring about some professional learning we're doing with teachers on writing in our schools. And we're going to start with the teaching and learning team, and then with principals on how to approach writing across elementary, middle, and high school. For goal number 3, we focus on novice reduction. So we know our struggling learners tend to score in the novice range on the Kentucky Academic Assessment. So what we're trying to do is set some specific goals for how we decrease the number of students that fall into novice. One of the largest groups that make up the novice pool are students supported in special education. So for us, we like to focus on co-teaching. We have a cohort that has started this year that is a co-teaching cohort where we bring gen ed and special education students together, teachers together, to learn about how to support kids in the core classroom. That's something that we began with principals 2 years ago, reading a book called Great Instruction, Great Achievement. We've continued that work. We now have a cohort running at Oldham County Middle School, and we're going to expand that work based on what we learned from the cohort model this school year. For goal number 3, we look at English learners and English learner attainment. The focus of this goal is on professional learning, and specifically how do we support the acquisition of English as a second language, and then our proficiency levels, our proficiency goals are all set based on our access data. The interesting thing about EL students is as they come in, they learn to speak English, then they leave the EL pool. And so our pool is always with our most recent arrivals and students who are learning English and on the path to becoming more proficient in English. And so we have found focusing on professional learning for teachers, and specifically the teachers in our newcomer center and in our campuses, to be the key lever for us. Goal number 5 is around the data that students share with us when they take the KSA and they take a survey on how they feel in the district. For the last 3 years, we have focused on this question, which is, I feel I am part of my school. To us, that's a really important question because in elementary school, about 90 kids say they feel like they're part of their school community. It drops to 85% in middle school, and it gets even lower when you get to high school. We have seen small incremental growth, getting us this last year to 85% saying agree or strongly agree to that question. We've also put into our strategic plan a goal around what we call connectedness, which is students feeling connected to their school either through clubs, sports, or other activities. And so Mr. Deves and I have met with leadership teams across all of our schools, and we've asked them, how are you tracking kids who are connected? And for students who don't feel connected, what steps are you taking to create new clubs or new things? I saw Mr. Grimm here earlier tonight, and when I met with his leadership team, he said, we surveyed our students, and we had a bunch of kids who loved Dungeons & Dragons. They didn't like sports, they didn't want to join the choir, they loved Dungeons & Dragons, and he used a stipend to get 25 kids coming after school, rolling 18-sided die and loving Dungeons & Dragons. We use that as a simple example of kids just feeling like there's more to school than just the schoolwork. It's that I belong to the school community, and that lines up to this question. For goal number 6, we look at post-secondary readiness. We have made steady improvement in this area over time. We're at 92.5% of our students graduate post-secondary ready. Our goal by 2029 is 95% of those students. We have 3 subgroups that we're really targeting carefully. One is economically disadvantaged students. They're at about 80%, Hispanic students, and also students supported in special education. And for us, we understand what we want to focus on. For us, it's really expanding career exploration and CTE pathways. We've built additional CTE pathways at our high schools. Our next step is to push that into middle school. So 8th graders have a sense of what we offer at the high school level before they step foot on the high school campus. And that is through a career exploration course that we're working on with middle school principals. You're gonna hear more about that as we do this work in the spring and summer. Goal number 7 is our graduation rate. We're extremely lucky to have a 97.4% graduation rate. Our goal is to get to 98.5. By 2029, we'll make steady incremental improvement on that. And also bringing our Liberty Academy online is gonna help us with that also for students that don't fit into the traditional mold of a traditional high school. So those are the components of our CDIP. Do you have any questions on any of the things related to the CDIP? And then I'll pivot to reaccreditation and give you an update on that.
I just want to say, Dylan, I know that it's a big team that worked on this and put this together. And having worked on a CSIP at the school level on an SBDM, this is no joke. I know you went through it very quickly and covered things, but there is a lot of time and effort and thought that goes into that. And I just want to say thank you to you and the other people that served on your team that worked on that, because it is a daunting task. It is something that is required every year from KDE. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. So we're going to pivot now, reaccreditation. So here you see a picture of the very room we are standing in. This is July of this last year. We had every school's leadership team come together, principals, counselors, some cases librarians and others. They're all dressed up in different costumes, and we kicked off our reaccreditation work. And one of the things that they got to do was to look at the 30 standards that systems accredit themselves or rate themselves against and ask for evidence and to read the criteria of rubrics and decide as a system, how do we fall? This group of 175 people made their way through all 30 of those standards and gave us our initial feedback on our system and how we're doing. We then broke directors and principals into 4 characteristic groups: culture, engagement, leadership, and growth. And each of these areas dove deep into one of those characteristics in our school district. We asked them to bring data together. They took the data, they call it cleaning the data, where you ask a very, very specific question. Then they outlined things we did well, where places we could improve, and what our next steps were. And then, working with each of them, we wrote essays. We wrote a total of 8 essays for Cognia on these areas, as well as our student survey feedback, our student achievement, and a couple other areas, a big overview of our whole system. Here you can see one of those teams coming together, cleaning the data, talking, typing, and just like this, unfortunately, is what it looks like when you go through reaccreditation, which is a group of people working really hard on a very specific topic and then saying, like, don't talk to me right now. We're talking about something. Don't, you know, they're very busy. We had, in addition to the group that those groups that met, we also had stakeholder meetings with Cognia. So we had students from the elementary, middle, and high school level. We had teachers, elementary, middle, and high, and also parents. And together they met with the Cognia representatives to just share some feedback on things going on in our system. Cognia asks each of those groups, if you were to describe Oldham County in one word, what word would you say? And each of the groups, in their own words, obviously with elementary kids included, used the same word, and that was community. That was the word that cut across all of our stakeholder groups. Our evaluator was really impressed hearing that across all these different stakeholders, that was the word that came to mind when they thought about our county. We are very pleased to report that we got a 6-year clear accreditation. So we will work with Cognia over the next 6 years with a 3-year check-in, but basically we received the highest level of accreditation. They were really happy with everything that we're doing, and they're going to give us some good feedback coming in January on what our next steps are, and that feedback will line up with our strategic plan and be our roadmap for the next 6 years. Any questions on reaccreditation? Well, if you think of a question, please send me an email. I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith.
Next is our KSBA updates with our procedures that's presented in your packet. This was just a carry forward from last meeting's discussion. So that's just as presented. Happy to answer any question that the board may have.
Board members, any questions?
Hey, Terry, is there any way...
Can you turn your microphone around, please?
Is there any way that we could get out of our employees paying for vehicle use? Do you know what that is? Is it hazardous, or is it all right, I'll talk to you afterwards.
So I think Mr. Dennis and I had a brief conversation, or he had asked about that. So Ms. Alexander, I can share more information, and then you can communicate that to Mr. Dennis. Basically, it's just about vehicle use of our employees. He just had a general question.
Okay, we've already done recognition, so next is public expression. Can you holler at Michael Williams out there, please? Mr. Dodson, would you like to read the brief public expression policy?
Yes, it would. Each regular meeting shall include a public comment period of at least 15 minutes. Any board rules and policies regarding the conduct during school board meetings shall apply during the public comment period. Chairperson may require the name and address of the speaker. The chairperson may rule on the relevance of the topic to the board's agenda. The chairperson may also establish time limits for speakers that may be required to maintain order to ensure expedient conduct of the board's business. The board as a whole shall have the final decision as to the appropriateness of all rulings.
Okay, we have one person signed up for public expression, so what are we saying? 4 minutes. 4 minutes? 4 minutes, Mr. Beeson?
4 minutes, all right. I'm a substitute in the Oldham County system. A little bit about me. Moved here in '91. Our 2 kids went through the Oldham County schools. Great school system. We appreciate all that you have done, even though our kids graduated in the early 2000s. One went to Butler as a pharmacist in Indianapolis. One went to Miami of Ohio University. Spent some years with Johnson & Johnson in finance, and now is an insurance agent in Crestwood. The reason for me stepping up is I am a substitute, retired about 3 years ago. I do teach a class at UK, just to give you a little bit of background on me. The last 3 years I taught an economics class at UK, and I did the substitute thing at Oldham County Schools because they needed some help and I thought it'd be fun. The first part, they needed some help.
How's that been, Mr. Beeson?
Well, they needed some help. No, I do enjoy it. I do middle school and high school, and trying to see the things the students are doing to try to trick me is fun. My point today is phones. East Oldham Middle, I do East Oldham Middle, the Oldham County High, Oldham County Middle, and then the South Campus, okay? East Oldham Middle's never had phones. The 3 years I've been doing it, awesome. No problems. Kids interact with each other. It's great. South Oldham Middle, last year, pretty much free flow phones. This year they cranked it down. The environment is totally different. Students talk to each other. Students talk to each other at lunch. They actually maybe bring something when they're done with work in that class to work on another class, okay? Oldham County High School, okay? Not Oldham County, South Oldham High School. Oldham County High School, no phones during class. No problems. They use them in between classes, which is okay, I guess. They walk around and don't run into each other while they're looking at them. South Oldham still is kind of a free-for-all based on what the teacher wants to do. Last Thursday I was in a class. Now I'm a sub. They give you a sub plan. Sometimes it takes the period, sometimes it doesn't, but the sub plan took about 10 minutes, okay? So I got 45 minutes, and the students can use their phones. So when you're done with your assignment, you can use your phones. So I spent all day watching kids watch YouTube videos other than 10 minutes, okay? They walk around the halls with their phones open. At lunch, they're looking on their phone, they're not talking to each other. And when I got done with the school, I went in the office, I said, I don't get the phone system here, but, you know, it happened, you know? And I was frustrated at the end of the day. And they said, that the administrative staff at South Oldham High said, you ought to go talk to the board. I was like, all right, whatever. You know, so that's why I'm here. You guys, you know, you have the other things to worry about besides that. But, you know, getting phones out of the school, the kids talk to each other. They bring something else to do in class. If you take a high schooler, I'm done with my work, I want to use my phone. Do you have anything else to do? No. You're a high schooler, you have nothing else to do? No. Do you have a book you could read? No. All right, okay? If it's a teacher says they can't use their phones, which some of them do, they get their phones out, you take their phone, they cuss at you, and then you give their phone back at the end of class, okay? Or you take it to the office. But my frustration with the phone isn't really the biggest issue on the board, for the board, but just wanted to highlight that. The schools are very different. When there's not phones in the school, it's a totally different environment. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, and thank you for being a substitute teacher
Yeah,
for
no
us.
problem.
We appreciate you being here.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for 4 minutes.
Okay, next, sir.
Yes, next are our action items. First up is KSBA policy revision. So there were a couple of policies from the last meeting that was a first reading, and so they're presented to the board tonight for a second reading as we discussed previously.
Board members, any questions? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Dennis, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
And next is our FY25 CDIP, and that's what you heard Dr. Smith present on. The State Department, Kentucky Department of Education requires the boards of education to approve the CDIP, so that's presented there for board approval, and that would be my recommendation.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mrs. Clem, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer. All those in favor? and that's 5-0.
And the last action item is resolution of reimbursement, and so that is just exactly that, just a resolution. There's no obligation that commits the board for this action. It's just preparing for the projects that we presented at the last meeting, which was December the 2nd. I'm testing my memory there, for our board to be prepared when we get ready to take action for those upcoming projects.
Board members, any questions? Can I get a motion to approve made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem? All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Next.
Yes, so the last portion of the agenda is information items for the board, presented for the board to review. No action required as normal. And Madam Chair, I'll bounce past to you for our executive session.
Okay, executive session. Mr. Dodson, one last time, could you read us into executive session?
At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810(1)C to discuss litigation, preparation, or defense, the public disclosure of which jeopardize the board's position. KRS 61.810(1)B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency, but only when public listing would likely affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve, or a motion to go into executive session? Made by Mrs. Sheffer, seconded by Mr. Dennis. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Good job. Thank you, sir.